Today, 13th of April, 2026, Monday. It's the day after, I believe, it's the finish to the regular season basketball. And another firing of Doc Rivers. For me, this is great because this guy has told the world how great he is, and he is above and beyond. The NBA puts him in the Hall of Fame for whatever reason they do. I never thought his consistency was great. I did think in Boston he was actually okay, all right. Well, he won a championship. Then he had the finals run, and after the finals run where they lost to the Lakers, it was kind of a disaster from there, to be honest. Always making excuses. We have me as the coach. He always talked about how he's done a good job. He kept blowing leads his teams. And you're going to say at the end of the day, the players are the main fault. Yes, I agree. The players are. But there's one constant with his teams. It wasn't the players. You could say Paul Pierce was on two different teams that blew a 3-2 lead or whatever in a playoff series. Paul Pierce was on the bench. And I don't even know. I think Paul Pierce actually played 2 years with the Clippers. I don't think he was on was he on a team that blew a 3-2 series lead? I don't think so. But anyways, I digress from that. Paul Pierce was the main guy on one team. He has first of all, he started his career that if he got fired in Boston, if he got fired, nobody would have cared. In Orlando, he blew a 3-1 lead. And then he says, look at my roster. You had Tracy McGrady. I don't care. You had Tracy McGrady. Shut up, finish the series. And he always talks about how he wasn't good. He was good. He was good. They blew it with Philadelphia. He blew it with the Clippers. And he says, well, Chris Paul didn't play, whatever. Chris Paul came back. I don't want to hear it. Excuses all the time. You go to Milwaukee, say, I don't have a training camp. Dude, you were giving Milwaukee a job in the middle of the year where they already won a championship before you showed up. And you stunk the joint. Dude, I just want to say this. I'm happy. I'm not happy with NBA news. But I will be happy if the NBA, because it always comes back, they're going to hire Doc Rivers just to fire him and show how stupid he is and how bad of a coach he is and how big of a failure he is. Okay? Now, is he a failure in life? No, he's made a ton of money as a coach. It's crazy how much money he's made. I will switch his financial situation with mine any day of the week. And twice on Sunday, without a doubt. But thank God Doc Rivers is gone. He looks like a bozo. And the reason why I say this is not because like, oh, there are other coaches that had similar things. They had great rosters. For example, Mike Brown had Kobe, he had LeBron, and he had Kobe in his heyday. He started 0-5 at a training camp with Dwight Howard, Steve Nash coming off the year he led the league in assists. Pau Gasol was still a threat, and he was an all-star afterwards. But Mike Brown never got up to the world and said, I am the greatest. I am the best coach. I am this, and I am that. That's the difference. Mike Brown now is with the Knicks. Mike Brown actually has been humble as a head coach. Because don't give me that Golden State stuff. Mike Brown, as a head coach, has never said, look at me. Look what I've done. Look what I did. And I'll say this. Doc Rivers, a lot of the things, I could go down the list. Part of the Ben Simmons demise, I would say a lot of it had to do with him. At the end of the day, Ben Simmons, it was mainly him. Ben Simmons didn't develop a jump shot, but it was more than that. He could have been a solid player throughout his career without the jump shot. Now, he couldn't have been a great player without a jump shot. But, dude, the guy was an all-star point guard before you showed up. You showed up. I'll give you credit. He won Defensive Player of the Year. And then you get up there and say, can we win a championship? I have no idea. I think my players suck. He always says my players suck. And it's never his fault. It's never his freaking fault. Ever. James Harden. No. Obviously, at the end of the day, I've always said this in basketball, the players are 90% of the blame. But there's one key thing constant with him and his teams It was him. It was Doc Rivers being the head coach. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, well, we had Paul George. He always blamed him. It wasn't Paul George. It was Doc Rivers, too. Okay? He had the best roster with the Clippers. Then he had the Lob City team. It was a great, perfect team. He had the shooters. He had Chris Paul running the floor. And then he says, when Chris Paul left, he says, well, with my team, we moved the ball. Chris, you couldn't move the ball with. He's just a bum. He takes over Giannis and Damian Lillard's team. I don't care with training camp, without training camp. That was a disaster. That was pathetic. And then he gets 2 years of leeway for that stupid thing, and he looks like a bozo. Okay? He's a dumb idiot, piece of shit who sucks, but he's going to go to the Hall of Fame because the NBA kisses his ass, but he sucks. And he doesn't, because the reason why I say he sucks is because he doesn't take accountability for anything. I don't care. I don't care if you're not good and you try your best and you say, okay, it's my fault. I'm not good. It wasn't, whatever. And I win. I'll give credit to whatever the people around me. And if you do win, by the way, like Phil Jackson, you could kind of have an ego a little bit. You could. You're a multiple-time champion. Even Steve Kerr. But Steve Kerr, for the most part about him winning, he goes, I have Steph Curry. I had Kevin Durant for those 3 years where I won 2 of those. Yeah, Steph Curry was the main reason. Okay, fine, I helped a little bit. Doc Rivers is like, look at me. Look at my roster. Your roster, it was you. You were the roster that sucked. Not, obviously at the end of the day, I always say the players are the main thing, but you were the roster. You sucked. When you say, look at my roster, it was you. Have a good day. Doc Rivers fired. It's a great day to be alive.